Hello and welcome to Upload,
A podcast by those who upload for those who want to.
or who already do.
And anyone else for that matter.
My name is Lionheart and I've been creating content for over a decade.
And my name's Midgeman and I've been trying to create content for almost a decade.
Together with some of our friends and fellow content creators, we're going to be exploring the great big world of content creation.
We'll be looking into the serious topics that face content creators today.
Because if someone said that to me, like, in person, or said that kind of stuff to me, you know, IRL, I wouldn't take it. So why would I take it, like, online? Why would I hide aspects of sort of my identity?
As well as some less serious topics.
I've been blindsided by the fact that one of your old live streams is called Suck My Missile for like the last
Sorry,
10
what?
minutes.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Upload.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Upload, the content creation podcast for those who upload, for those who want to upload, and everyone in between. My name is Midgeman.
And I'm Lionheart.
And before we get into today's episode, remember to like, subscribe, review, rate, and turn on any downloaders on whatever platform you're coming to us from. You can also reach out to us, the podcast, via our YouTube comments or via our email, hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk. Right. This week, we feature a special guest. He's the remaining social streamer thanks to Highlander rules. He's on a mission from high to revive a dead Paradox title. He's one of the most entrepreneurial people I know. Laith, welcome to the show.
The cameras may be shorter than everyone else, and I feel very, very upset about this.
Don't
Yeah, I'm
worry,
not the shortest now.
We'll adjust it in the edit.
Thank you.
So yeah, Laith, just for our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself, do a little thing, and then I'll drop the segment on you.
I'll do a little thing. I am Laith from the YouTube channel Laith the Social Streamers. I make Paradox content, also other content, because I enjoy it. Mostly centered around video games, sometimes history. What's my fun fact? Everyone needs like a fun fact, a fun icebreaker. Usually I just say I'm half Tunisian and then people laugh at me. You screw it, we'll go with that. There you go.
I'm not even going to get into why do people laugh? Why do people laugh at the fact that you're half Tunisian? Like I think even me beginning to say that sentence makes me go, oh yeah, people are just awful, aren't they? That's the
We're about to get into a different. Are you sure you want it on this podcast?
Honestly, that is something I do want to possibly cover in the same regard, because it is something that clearly is a thing that will be affecting your journey. Like, I mean, sorry to get deep right away. How have you found that? Just right off the bat. Sorry for dropping.
Within my content journey, 90% people don't care. You know what I mean? But I found, like, especially in the earlier days, like back in 2017, 2018, I found myself like kind of not being as vocal about like my background and stuff, because people would be very, very heavily against it. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't want that to like affect my channel and that sort of thing. And I came at it from the idea of like, oh, well, I want to be like apolitical. But then I was like, I can still be apolitical whilst not pandering to sort of dickheads. Because if someone said that to me like in person, or said that kind of stuff to me, you know, IRL, I wouldn't take it. So why would I take it like online? Why would I hide aspects of sort of my identity, really? So like, I think it's just the same as everything else. I think I'm happy to have a thicker skin, I think, the most when it comes to this sort of stuff. So I wouldn't say it's affecting me that much like anymore, but no, you still do get, like, I find them funny. You get a lot of comments. For example, I posted like Eid Mubarak on Twitter, and like it's since been deleted, and someone responded with like, you shouldn't say that when you live in this country, and someone posted back saying like, someone else, I didn't respond to it, saying like, what country is that? And he said France, which confused me because we were speaking English and it's the internet. And also, I don't live in France. But, you know, it's...
Is it the outrageous French accent that you clearly have?
I mean, honestly, listen to this.
You can speak French, right? I think. Yeah, I was going to say. I think I knew that about you.
So I could, but even Mubarak, I don't feel like it's Arabic, less French, but yeah, I don't know. But that's, look, it's all walks of life. You can get that kind of stuff.
Like a standard internet being internet, isn't it? It's just like, guys.
I feel like that's obviously because of my heritage. It's something that I definitely do not see. So it's horrible that it happens. So it's one of those things of like, it is an eye-opening thing. And I think it's also a testament to you as a character that you have managed to do one so well, and your journey is still going and still ongoing as a content creator, but also the fact that you can rise above that. That is just, you know, Again, 10 times the better creator that I will ever be. And we move on. But okay, so this is the actual, the lighter heart. We're going to completely flip-flop that. So we do this segment when we bring in our guests, which is we talk about their estimated net worth. For some creators, it's really easy to find. So when we interviewed Lion here, we got a huge breakdown. For other content creators, it's harder, and I think partially some of this for you is because every time, even though you're kind of in the bracket that those websites would find you, I don't know what it is about the way that your name is set up on YouTube. It makes it really hard to search your channel on certain websites. So I'm gonna go off your estimated yearly earnings, and I'm going to tell you things you could buy with those. And so according to your estimated yearly earnings, you could afford to buy 32,358 McDonald's cheeseburgers. You could almost afford a university degree.
Oh, dear.
I've got my student loan in the corner staring at me right now.
You could also afford 33 dogs, apparently. Pedigree dogs. 33 pedigree dogs.
Well, I've got 2, so we're on the way.
Hey, you have 2 dogs?
Yeah, I used to have 3.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Jeez.
way to kill it.
I couldn't resist.
The lighter-hearted
I'm sorry.
And you could afford 11 new iPhones.
Right, well, I don't know what I'd do with 11 new iPhones. Probably keep track of 33 dogs and 32,000. Was it 32,700?
32,300.
300. Wow. Okay, one day I'll hit 33,700 and then we're talking yearly earnings.
Let's dive into some actual questions here. So, and this is a big one I think that you've covered a lot, but also it would be interesting for our podcast listeners to hear is you actually initially started your content creation journey collaboratively. Your channel was originally The Social Streamers. There were more than just you. You have since become the face of that. Now you're continuing alone. How has that affected your journey?
As you two will know, content creation is kind of lonely. And I would say the loneliness is more pronounced when you had buddies that you did it with day in, day out. And you call every day, you're talking about strategies, that sort of thing. To go from that alone, that's kind of actually a little bit trickier. I would say that it has improved because a slight change in vision exacerbate the existing issues. Okay, so we started out with 3 of us. They're still on the banner. Me, Tom, and Will. We made EU4 memes together, and then I convinced them to pivot to things like guides and top 5s because you can actually make money off those, and we weren't making any money off the memes. And after a lot of convincing, and this is where it started really, a lot of convincing, they agreed. The entire channel got demonetized for reproduction of content. So it didn't make any sense. It's also why I hate multi-channel networks, because they didn't help me out at all. There was a whole thing. So we got demonetized for a while, and then we just sort of left it because we got on with our lives. Then Bannerlord comes out. Me and Tom make content because Will was never really into it. We start making content, just the 2 of us. As it starts to become more serious, he's like, this was never meant to be a full-time thing for me. I don't want to do this full-time. Do you mind if we scale back? And I was like, well, I really want to do this. I don't want to scale back. I want to increase production. And this was where the disconnect happened. And that's when obviously he steps away and it becomes just me. So it's a lot easier to make content when you have a central sort of idea of where things are going, you know? Let's say Midge wants to go, hey, I want everything to be about money on this podcast. And you're like, nah, not really a fan of that. Suddenly you've got big issue with the podcast. So it can be harder. It can be easier. But it's definitely more lonely either way. Yeah,
I can only imagine. I've tried to do collaborative. I mean, I've done collaborative things in the past, but never to the scale of getting a YouTube channel and going as successfully as you've done. At the time of recording, everybody as well, just as a note, you're almost on the verge of 200,000 subscribers. Woo! Which is that's a huge achievement in the grand scheme of content creation. Especially as content creators, you go, yeah, no, it's not that. It's not. I'm not massive, but you talk to any layman, that is a massive achievement.
I feel like you tend to only get excited when they send you one of those fancy button awards, and you're like, yeah.
You've been there. You've done that. You've got to get to the next button award, which is the big mill.
Long grind.
That's wild. That you've obviously gone from a project that you started with your friends, and then it's had to become a solo journey like that. You touched on something that I'm it wasn't on the cards of talking about things. Demonetization has become a theme for this podcast.
Yeah.
Because
Here we go again.
Myself and Lion have had some bad issues in our
We made
own.
some mistakes were made. AdSense accounts were
And also very recently this week, feedback. We just spoke in our last podcast, just to date when we're recording these episodes. We're not sure what order they're coming out in, but Feedback's just lost monetization on his channel and stuff. How was it? What was the mistake you guys made to lose thing? What happened?
We didn't make a mistake.
What happened? No, what happened then?
With that is, so the flag memes and everything else. So, okay. One thing you got to know is I am like a bit of a nerd, as we all are. But when it comes to things like law and that, I really, really enjoy it. So I did a deep dive into the legal aspect of transformative content and fair use. And weirdly enough, like flag memes and stuff do come under that, arguably to a degree. So I tried to argue that case. They said, no, okay, sure, I'm not going to get monetized for it, whatever, not trying to make money off it. The issue was that they said that I was basically re-uploading content.
Oh.
And then one of the examples they gave of me re-uploading content was my own videos. So they had said that I'd copied the social streamers' content, and that was the problem. And so we went on the Great Purge. Right now, you'll see a channel that I am not affiliated with in any way, called the Social Memers, where we re-uploaded all the flag memes because, someone re-uploaded all the memes because, I don't want to lose them completely because there's like hours and hours of work. So we deleted it and purged the entire channel. And at the same time, a friend of mine called Gigi Parker, who is a shame because I maintained that he would have been one of the big Hoi4 guys, if not like the biggest. This was a couple years back. He started making like videos where, for example, make China ching again, like this sort of stuff. He was doing really, really well on them. And then monetization, at the same time it hit us, it hit him, that he never uploaded again. Like, not really. So it's a shame because it completely killed off his career. And in my opinion, like I said, I still talk to the guy. He would have been, he's way funnier than I am. So he would have been like easily one of the big guys out there. And like we started out when we were on like 2,000 subscribers, he was on 1,000. That's when we knew each other. It took several emails and that sort of thing for then nothing to happen. And then about a year later, we got an email saying monetization's been approved for no reason, for nothing. But you touch on AdSense. And I think the main thing with the AdSense stuff is a lot of the times when people start up YouTube channels, they don't do it to make money. It's just monetization gets enabled and go, okay, cool, let me just chuck in a couple of details. You don't really think about it. And then if things start making money, you need to start putting things into a company. You need to start professionalizing things, registering things. And then the AdSense isn't set up like that and it's not friendly or conducive to flipping. So then you've got a hobby that turns into a professional venture and there's no ease of access. There's no like escrow account that you can hold money for YouTube in. It's just straight up, if you don't flip it, it's gone. And it's just, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, that's we've dived on that a lot, so we'll probably move on from that. But again,
I'm getting sad again just thinking about it.
Yeah.
No, well, I think of all the issues, just like I did it right mid-November, so I killed off all of my November and December revenue last.
I only changed things in January.
Thing is, I still don't know to this day what made me wake up early in November and go, today I'm going to screw up my AdSense account.
I hate making money for my time.
You know what's working right now? My AdSense account. You know what I'd like to do to that? Not make it work.
Life's
and
too
the
good.
best time of the year, I was like, and the moment I done it, I was just like, why didn't I do this in January? Why are we doing it now?
Honestly, that is some perfect merch for the podcast. Only change things in January.
Yes.
So good, Laith. You pump out an obscene amount of content, and it's amazing. It's very inspirational. I wish I could do it. Can you talk us through your current creative process? Especially when you're developing new content for the channel, because like you said, you'd like to do a little bit of everything. So is it just what takes your fancy and then you roll with it?
It's a bit more than that. Especially, you've caught me at a really good crossroads because I just released, you flashed it up really early on. It's on my homepage, a Kenshi video that is nothing to do with anything that I've done like before. It's just me playing a video game. And like, I'm trying to transition my content. I went from like EU4 to like EU4 and CK3 to EU4, CK3, and then everything that's Paradox and strategy related. But then you've got this Kenshi video that like was really low level for a while. And it's banking off this idea that like, if I make good content that is enjoyable, it doesn't matter if it's going to get like 2K views in the first 2 weeks. Eventually it will do well. This has kind of proved it. So for me, I've got a couple of different avenues. I've got the stuff that keeps the lights on, which is my standard like EU4, CK3. I want to keep things variety because I don't want to burn out. And it's a big part of like pumping out content is making sure you're always interested in it. That stuff is my bread and butter. I think, hey, what would be an interesting idea? I've got a massive spreadsheet of ideas. I have weekly meetings with guys that work with me on the channel. We go through ideas of like what would be interesting in each game. those are like my basis idea, my base ideas. Then I've got sort of like what I like to call Discord ideas, which are like things that involve the community, things that are like massive multiplayer stuff. Every division is controlled by a different player, or shattering the world and having every single individual province be a different player, this kind of stuff. And then I have like the Kenshi video, these more like creative ones where there's a bit more of a narrative, and I have this like hybrid style I've been developing for a while, which I really enjoy, which is, as you can see on screen, sorry for those of you listening, just audio only, I'll describe it. It's where I will have gameplay intercut with narrative moments where I appear on screen and will like narrate what's just happened with my microphone, and it just, for me, it offers the same like benefit as like narrative videos, where you can control the narrative and like push it in a direction at the same time as holding true to something that I really enjoy recording and producing, which is this like live reaction to what's going on. So I can sort of get the best of both worlds. So when it comes to making just content for that is a bit more of a like an involved process. I've actually got several videos that have never been released. For example, I've got a sport video that I was really, really good, fully edited, never uploaded it because I want these videos to be the best possible. The sequel to this, Kenshi 2, is done. I've been sitting on it for 3 weeks. I just haven't had the balls to upload it. It's that kind of stuff. But then the other ones, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know where the fun is. I know what, like, it's just practice. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be doing the Angevin Empire in E4. I'm going to be trying, like, a video I'm doing now is hasting into Roman Empire in one life. Like, that kind of stuff is, yeah. I'll never run out of ideas for that.
I love that cut of you now. Sorry, it's just come up and I'll describe it. But there's a cut of you where all of the facade drops and it's just you standing in a room with an Elgato green screen behind you.
It's my favorite cut.
I love
it's so
little
good.
bits like that.
It's
but
awesome.
That sort of mantra of only putting out things when you think they're like essentially perfect, especially when trying to break outside of a niche, is really interesting to me. It's kind of that Mr. Beast mindset. He says that a lot with this. Like, he has put millions of dollars into videos sometimes, and then once they finish, he goes, I don't think this is going to do well, and he gets rid of it. And I think being brutal sometimes with your content, like even at the detriment of making sure something is always out, sometimes it too will sort of elevate your content. Oh my god! And I listen to that process. I'm like, I wish my brain would work like that, and I could sort of like, it will work like that for one project at a time. For me right now, that's this podcast. that's my, I'm going to do everything.
It's interesting you say that about this, because I think as well, because I have such a different content style, which is I just literally, because again, like what you were saying about just doing what you enjoy, like for me that's just Let's Plays. I know it's not the right meta, I know it's not the right way, like the quickest way to grow or anything like that, and you're gonna have like low views for a long time after the first few episodes and stuff like that, but that's what I enjoy. And it's also, I built that up to, and that like looks after itself, as you say. Even if it doesn't get many views to start with, it's there, and it's kind of like just that evergreen content. It'll just pick up and tick through, and you know, even if it's pennies, if there's enough videos out there, the pennies add up over time.
That's the cool thing about YouTube. You've got like loads of different styles and loads of different, like, if there are people that hate narrative stuff that will go just for unedited, long form, that sort of thing. So I'm like, hey, I want a little bit more editing, but I don't care about narrative. I just want something there and a lot of it.
In a way, I enjoy that quite a lot of people are moving away from just the long format stuff and do the highly edited, because I'm like, that just leaves me as one of the few people covering the games I cover, just doing that. So I'm like, you guys go away. You guys have some great projects and ideas. I'll stay here doing this, because the community for that, if anything, probably has grown even more. And they're just happy that there's some like bald bearded guy playing some Total War every so often and fumbling his way through yet another game of Crusader Kings, having, you know, incestuous relationships with all of the characters there. But you say like then as like a focused kind of perfected project, or at least that's the aim, it's really nice to have this as something completely different, doing its own thing and being a very different style and approach to how we go about it. Like, I mean, not that I'm as involved, but I blame that on just having kids, and just also just the amount of content I do on my main stuff, meaning that with the best intention and will of the world, wanting to be fully involved with this, there's not enough hours in the day, and it's like I just give as much as I can whenever Midgeman pings me like 20 times on Discord, and I'm like, and there we go, boom. To be fair, I love that segue of like in a stream, I'm like, oh, Midgeman sent me something, and I'm always like, it's gonna be, I know it's gonna be good. Like, do I want to wait to the end of the stream to? Oh, it's another dick. No, it's not. It's
I think that's just something with it. Sorry to take the spotlight off of you, Laith, for a very, very short moment. But I think that's actually one of the luxuries I think I currently have, where I am not as established still to this day, even though. For example, me and Laith, you and I have noticed our channels started essentially a month apart, which is wild. And I like where I still sit in that niche of I have fumbled the ball many times, but it's allowed me to have this sort of, there's less pressure on me to constantly pump out videos all the time. I want to do that, and I do need to do that to grow, but it allows me to go, when a project like this comes up, I can go, okay, let's full bore into this for a while and see how that goes. Or when a piece of client work comes forward but I love a thing that you said, and I want to like go more into this. The fact that you did that whole, you've got videos that you edit and you haven't put out, or that you've been sitting on it for a while and you've been waiting for that right time. Do you find now that, because again, I think all three of us here started in a niche, to break out of that niche, do you feel like you're going to have to go harder to get those videos seen? Or are you confident enough that in your process that you've done with all of, like, as Lionheart said, the evergreen content, are you confident enough that it's going to translate well enough that the viewership will find it?
Yes, I'm confident.
Nice. Good.
No, so the
my
idea
client
for me
has nothing more to say. Thank you. Next question, please.
The idea is that, like I said, stuff like Kenshi, and I also made a Factorio video which got like 40k views, right? Which isn't nearly as good as the Kenshi one. But the point for me is that it's not just professionally fulfilling; it's creatively as well. Like it's content that, regardless if it does well, I'm glad that I did it, because I know that the skill set that I developed, not to sound like really professional, but the skill set I developed whilst I'm making those videos is going to help the other ones as well. The process and everything. So for me, I'm very confident that I can break out of the niche now, because I've implemented a couple of guesses, and for the first time in like, well, I mean, I started chucking things on YouTube when, like, back in 2012, like 2013, under like different names and everything else. So for the first time in like 12 years, I've thought to myself, I'm going to try this strategy on YouTube, and it's actually worked. And it worked the second time of asking, even the first time of asking kind of worked, because I broke out of the niche with that. Like, no one watched that video that was already existing in my niche. So what I'm doing is I'm developing a core audience of followers that will watch anything I put out. And then when I do something like Kenshi or Factorio, I'll branch into a completely different one, who then, and I've seen the stats on this, who then disseminate into my other content as well. They will watch other highly edited videos I put out. I'm not rushing it, because, again, I think a rush transition would be terrible, because I'm pretty sure I could do it, but it's not worth risking everything I've built to then have to come crawling back. Because frankly, I think that if I fully went into variety games and did this whole like higher production value stuff, if I then had to come back to the stuff I'm doing now, I don't think I could hack it, because it would be such a step back. I'm someone who will always try and grow and push and everything like that. And I understand that can sound like arrogant to some people, but for me, it's like, I'm going to be trying to hit that sort of 1 million subscribers. I'm going to be trying to like get to that sort of next level, because there is no reason why I shouldn't do that, because I'll be producing better stuff. I'll enjoy it more, and hopefully the audience will too. So I'm constantly trying to, so if I ever feel like I'm stagnating or taking a step back, then I will probably just quit. Because at that point, I could be doing 1,000,001 things in my life, and I don't want to be, I only do this because it is financially, creatively, and professionally fulfilling. And I think it's a lot of fun. This is not where I thought I'd be doing at this point. I'm glad that it is, but there are like loads of other things I want to do. So if I'm not feeling fulfilled in this stuff, then I'll go do something else.
Fucking Laith dropping the inspirational. My
captain.
It's just like, I don't think we've had someone on the podcast, including ourselves, that have said something so profound that I really like gel with that concept. And it's something that, even if you don't hit as a content creator, like even just the mentality of striving to do that sort of thing is what will keep you good. And I love the idea that you said that you wouldn't be able to go back, because it wouldn't be creatively fulfilling. As someone with every essence of his fiber has always been creative, but not always. That's a wild thing. And I love what you said about the skill set there. Like, I had a recent video that bombed, that I spent like 24 hours or so editing, and it was like a 7-minute video. But the skills I learned in that, I'm going, okay, I didn't hit with this video. I did some things wrong. I've learned from those. The skill set that I developed in that time is still going to be worth it. And that's how I got over the fact that it bombed. Do you find it easy to brush off moments of failure, or is it something that it takes you a while? I'm someone that it depends. Sometimes I can like really shuffle off like something that's gone wrong. Other times I'm like, that'll take me a moment to recover from that one.
So I will get slightly into the inner workings of my channel here, but I have editors. They'll edit. I will do the more advanced like narrative stuff, but then like my standard ones. And then I also have like what I term consultants that I pay. That are also part of the channel. So they're like they do various stuff from like moderating these different things. But the point is that I talk to them every Monday. We have a meeting. So when it comes to failures, you can't really fail if you've taken on the data, you've looked at what went wrong, and you're starting to learn from that experience. Because you look at the good stuff from me, like, okay, I think this is a great video. Why didn't it reach the expectations that I had for it? And then you sit back, you've got a meeting with people that you know well, that like have been with you on this journey for a long time, and know these sorts of ins and outs. You pour all the data, and you're like, hey, here's our best guess as to why that happened. Now let's go and do it again. And that, like I said, with the Kenshi video, that's why I think that did well. Because looked at the Factorio video that I did, there's a similar sort of style that did well. And I was like, okay, where are the lessons I can learn from this to make the next thing better? When it comes to failure, like, I don't really view it like that. I don't really view it as like, damn, this didn't hit where I want it to be. It's okay, this is just another step in where I want to go.
Even if a video has like lower views, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. Like, but that's often the biggest metric that we look at. You go, oh, that only got like 10,000 views, and I was hoping it would get like 50, 60, 70 or whatever. And you're like, but I don't know, maybe you either got loads of engagement from it, or just as you say, the editing and the production techniques that you developed through that, or just even like the kind of the storyboarding or the scripting and the way you went about crafting a different challenge, or taking some ideas on board for that and then turning that into content. That is still, it's kind of like, even if the end perceived result of like low views equals failure, even if that's what the outcome is there, it's like, well, the other 95% of it that got you to that point, was that? No, it wasn't.
But that's the thing. That's the best part, because like if you've made a good video and it's a genuinely good video with everything in it, okay, awesome. So you've done the hard part. You just need to figure out how to then play to the algorithm and how to make people click on it. That's the last like 5%, which is the easy part in my opinion. Like the making good content is really hard and it takes loads of time. Looking at what went wrong in terms of the sort of the PR of the video. Maybe the first 30 seconds wasn't as good. Maybe I didn't sell it as well in terms of like the concept. Maybe the thumbnail title combo wasn't great. Maybe the video was good, but the concept wasn't. These are all like easier things to figure out than like, hey, this video is just bad and I marketed it really well.
As you say, it's often about it just not actually being picked up at that moment in time by the viewers, but you know that given it more time.
I can show you some insane graphs of like flat line and then suddenly up, right.
It's actually great seeing that, because you're like, you can kind of follow it and then you're like, oh, look, that, that spike or that surge in it. And then that's, coincide with something else happening or some other content or just whatever. There's more interest being generated with a new update to a game or something like that. And you're like, I found my people. There we go. I've got that at that point. But as you say, it's kind of like you only miss the shots you don't take, right? And it's like you still fired it out there. It doesn't matter if it didn't convert into the most successful result at launch. As I said, and that's something that actually is funny. Whenever I end up talking to Spiff, he always goes on about like my Total War like Rome campaign and stuff like that, being like, that's just like golden evergreen stuff, because everyone's always going to love Romans. Like there's always going to be that is like my break glass in case of emergency. If I'm ever getting too down about like views getting low, and I always have to like kind of, I don't know, like just wake myself up to it being like, you're on part 75. Of course, there's only 3,000 people still watching. Why do you have, I think that is, I would say is probably the biggest issue with long format stuff. Constantly going like, why is part 40 get like, I know it's not going to get views like part 10, so why am I getting stressed out about it? But I think it's because I'm so committed to that, and that's the type of content I enjoy doing. I do go through probably like 2 or 3 times a year going, feel a little bit upset and kind of depressed about how this is, but I'm like, yeah, but once I finish these, I'm going to be starting new stuff, and oh, boom, surge, here we go. It's a constant ride, whereas, perhaps the type of content you're looking to do is, you're looking for a more staggered bit where I'm like, I'm riding a wave over here and having fun on that. But it's all about, but yeah, come back to the evergreen stuff. Like, yeah, the Roman stuff, if I ever know I'm in trouble, it's like, quick, do another Rome campaign because people love Romans and
Print money, done.
Yeah. Job done, basically.
It's that debased currency click in EU4. That's what it is, just in
It
real
all
life.
comes back to the Romans.
Laith, I could listen to you talk about stuff for a while, but it's just a more psychological thing that I'm going to point out. And there's a sort of thing on. We started this talking about how you started this channel collaboratively, but it sounds like you're still doing this channel collaboratively, just with more of a CEO mindset.
Yeah, I think that's the way of things. I think I don't think I'll ever be the best. Put in a room of people, I'll probably not be the best at any singular thing. What I feel like I'm really good at is putting the right people in the right places. That's like, I'm very good at that. And so when it comes to the guys that like people always like, especially other content creators, are already kind of weirded out. And I'm like, yeah, I've got like 6 guys that I pay like on a monthly basis with bonuses and everything else. They get paid a good amount just to like sit in a meeting and then just do stuff because they bring in the value as well. Like I make money on those guys. They know it as well. And that's, I think, is an important part of this. I think a lot of people, when they like, and there's nothing wrong with this mentality when it comes to YouTubers, just like, hey, let's go and do it. But for me, like I said, if I'm running something, I'm running it with you to as efficient as I can get, which means I'll get the different people and we'll pull the stats together. And it just means that like I can run things a lot and react to things a lot better than I think I otherwise could. And it's a lot easier to like not get in your own head, because mental health is a big part of this like whole thing. But I think perception is a big part of that. When you're like, hey, let me look at the positives in this failure. Like for example, if a video was 9 out of 10, but it was a variety content, I'm like, hey, that 10 out of 10 was a Hoi 4 video. So I'm doing better than something that's technically in my own niche. That's a positive to take away. And then also if you can like have people looking and be like, this really isn't the end of the world. Like you gotta just chill.
I think it's sometimes when you do see some creators going like, oh, this video is only a 7 out of 10. I'm like, I'm still looking at the stats going, yeah, but you got 125,000 views, mate. Like, I think it's certainly a tool that you should use and should evaluate like the out of 10 score, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all. Like you can have several 10 out of 10 videos and it can still be a kind of a success and a positive despite being at the lower end of it. Because the thing is though, after 10 videos, you're going to have a 10 out of 10 video from those. It's got to drop. Like that's how numbers work. You're not gonna always be able to hit those 1 out of 10 points without, especially if you're adapting and you know looking at variety and changing things up all the time. And those are teaching you different things that a straight up number value is a numerical value is not just gonna reveal to you.
You should talk to Pravas about it. Not to like say, hey, I'm not as good as this, but like talk to Pravas because he doesn't even have like the analytics on his phone. He does not look at anything.
I know a few other creators actually that said they just don't look at them, and they have a far more positive experience with all of it. And I think there's so many different ways that you can engage and do the same sort of thing but different, and also I think a huge part of it is also what you want to get out of it. As you said, you want to keep growing, you want to keep pushing forward, and you want to keep, and that doesn't mean that anyone that's not doing that isn't as successful or can't get the same enjoyment out of it.
Absolutely. That's really what I want to like hammer home. Yeah,
like I say, like there's very like I think huge dynamic shift between what I do, Midge does, and what you do. We're all successful in what we're doing it within our own different spheres and again different content types. But it's also the analytics are all doing things slightly different for us in those regards. But also, if we all just turned our phones off and didn't look at it or didn't look at those pages, there's a whole other part of it that doesn't even factor into whether you're successful or not. I think you say the biggest thing, like coming like mental health with all this as well. And when I get those moments throughout the year of going, oh, great. Am I generally have had some moments where I'm like, do I need to do a full 360? And I'm thinking, I say to myself, why don't I switch into short form content? And then I go, well, I wouldn't enjoy it. I don't like doing those bits. Like maybe one or two one-off bits every so often, but I enjoy just playing through a game quite casually, fairly chilled. And that's what my audience has brought up to watch me kind of just have a mess around and screw things up and cause another holy war somewhere that I shouldn't be causing one. It's about getting that enjoyment out of it. I think if you're not enjoying it, you say if you weren't something, you would just walk away, despite it being very financially beneficial.
But It's not, you know,
it's not, that's not the most important thing, is it? No, like it's perspective.
I think I can only do this because I know that I would be very willing to walk away if it didn't pan out. Like I wouldn't ever cling on to it.
I find that so interesting that you could just go, yeah, I'll just walk.
Honestly, I could do it tomorrow. Like I love what I do. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But like if tomorrow I'd made the decision, like then that's it. I'll go and do something else. That's fine.
What would you do? You have something in mind that you would go and do? What's your go-to like?
I always thought I'd be working in sustainability, man. I really enjoy that sort of thing. It's what I studied. So yeah, I could go and do that. I could like there's I was also looking I also did like a degree in marketing and international business. That's always something I've like. This is never a permanent state of affairs for me. Like nothing. To be honest, nothing ever is. Like I'll do what I want, like what I want in this place, provided I feel like as a person, I am bettering myself. If ever I feel like, regardless of whether or not I'm enjoying it, and regardless of like finance or anything else like that, if I feel like as a person I've stagnated, the second I feel like that, the next hour I'm gone. Like it's just, there is nothing that because there's so much more to like, not to get deeper here, but there's so much more to life than just like grinding along at something that you feel like is stagnating you. There's no point. Like you could just go, if I were to go and like move to Kenya and like go work on a game reserve, cool, let me go do that. I'd really enjoy that. That would be so fulfilling to me. I'll go do that instead. You know, I don't need to like produce content or something, you know?
Great, that sounds awesome. We're all going.
I mean, you know?
Content creator reserve, here we go.
I don't know. It sounds like we're getting shipped off somewhere. I don't know.
Wait.
Yeah, that's
a special kind of jam, that.
I think mentally I would struggle with that. And I think just with my own personal experience and journey is like I definitely have found myself get mentally very hooked up on content creation and what it's meant to me and the way I've experienced it, and I've experienced it very, very differently from others. Like one of the big things that it took me ages to really realize and get over is so many channels that are such as yourself, such as Spiff, such as anyone like that, started at the exact same time as me. They hit the right moments. I didn't. There's a lot of on my end that were me, and 100% them, but there was also a lot of missed opportunities that I didn't hit, and it took a lot to almost like keep going and go with the mental on that. But so I would love to have that mindset, and that mindset I think is the healthiest mindset. You have a very healthy mindset towards content creation, which is refreshing. A lot of people won't, and it's also one of those things that also mindset might not work for everyone. Like I think it's about finding what you find is your comfortable spot. Well, comfortable in a way that you're still able to push yourself. Not comfortable that you just don't act and you chug along.
But then again, if you're happy, there's nothing wrong with just sort of sitting there doing nothing. Well, yeah, you're sorry, you're about to move us along.
No, I was going to say actually, but in the fact,
it's like, no, I'm staying here.
So I mean, chugging along at detriment to yourself. If it's a moment like where you like, I've got my place, I'm where I am, I have it. That's perfect.
I would say that's me. Like I'm literally like I know there's things I could do, but I'm just very happy just being in my lane, doing what I'm doing. Like as you say though, if I did see things really start dropping down, I'd want to change things around, and if I couldn't, I'd be like, right, I'm done then, because I'm not going to push myself to try and change up who I am, I think, as a creative person to just hit green ticks and hit 1 out of 10 content for the sake of just getting that. I want to be enjoying it and finding it fulfilling. And if not, I want to step away. I mean, my plan is I kind of would like to be done in about 10 years. By the time I'm 45, if I'm still doing this, I don't know, things might change next year, whatever. But if not, I want to be in a game reserve in Kenya. There's so many more things. And I think also like kind of having kids as well. I want to be, devoting more time with that, just traveling a bit more. I don't know, just having fun and being, if I can use this and still enjoy it to set myself up for kind of like financial freedom. I'm not talking about like, silly amounts of money, but just enough that the bank account ticks over, everything's covered, and I can go out and enjoy myself and live a more fulfilling existence.
And have like 35 dogs,
Exactly. Like maybe 34, 35. And that's what I want to kind of strive for. It's weird though, because I started off not having that mentality. I'd be like thinking, I'll always stick with this, I'll always grind it out. And then, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, I think when I was really I'd been doing this full time for a good number of years, and I was like, no, I kind of need to start thinking about not an exit, but what long term do I want out of this? And it's just like, well, ultimately I just want to be happy, and this to start with, weirdly, well, for the early years, it was like, I'm happy if I'm doing this. And it's like, no, I can very much still be happy outside of this. I want to use this as a vehicle to continue that, but I can still walk without this vehicle, if that makes sense. That is such a large part. So many creators almost like feel attached to it to a point where it becomes a ball and chain to them. And especially when then things start going negatively and you're getting dragged down.
Yeah, you're chucked into a river. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. Straight down there. Oh.
Wow, yeah. Right. I want to do this very, very quickly, and then we'll probably do some more rapid fire questions. We mentioned in that last segment, you even mentioned that seeing the peaks and troughs in video analytics, etc. Me and you have a very unique experience here where we have made essentially the same video in our own styles. Best $5 I've ever spent, by the way.
It's comparison time.
If we can compare these two videos, that would be absolutely great. Dan, I think you have access to my YouTube analytics to bring up my end. Laith, if you don't mind sharing those, we can actually just see so. Obviously, you put this in your own style. I think you made yours more tutorial-like, whereas I made mine a little bit more. You went through how you did it, whereas I was fighting against the machine a little bit more in my video. So this was a video I concepted. This was what I air quotes called the Harrenhall challenge. It's a CK3 video. It's a Game of Thrones mod video. Essentially that is my evergreen, and always has been since back in CK2. And I went to Laith because I really like Laith's content and I really like Laith as a content creator. I went, hey, also I knew he would respond as well was the other thing. So I put it on. I went on Twitter and I went, I bet you a $5 you can do this challenge. And he did. He did cheat though.
Did you give him the $5?
I did give him the $5. I did it publicly on the video.
A gentleman's agreement. Huzzah!
No, absolutely, I did.
I imagine you probably made more back in the revenue that came off of the video than.
The thing is, as well, I've said this already multiple times on the podcast. I've never made money. I've never physically offset any profits from YouTube. I've never fully made money from it. It's always been like,
you hear that, HMRC? You hear that?
Well, it's because, for example, I currently average making about £300 from YouTube, and my editors cost $600 each a month. So it's like that's a hard red line.
Well, I meant from the £5 in terms of the uptick that probably happened afterwards.
I actually didn't have much of an uptick, but I just really want to see the full comparison. So these are my stats. This was one of my better hitting videos. Again, scale of channels at time of recording, like we said, Laith is almost 200k subscribers. I am at almost 12k, so there's tenfold difference in our size. I got I'm almost at 50k views on the video, which is great. Again, this is a huge hit for me, and I loved making this video. This was something that I alluded to on my channel a long time in my revival, my current revival, that is. So this was something that my community expected, that the people who watch my content wanted, that it was expected to come out of. It was alluded to for a while. It's probably some of the most set up I've had for a video, almost in the same way that the way that you seem to craft your content, where you've done the research, you've done that full channel. This is probably my only example of that at to current date that has been a thing that I am super, super happy with this video. Because I threw this at you, I'd love to hear now how you took that concept that I threw at you and turned it into a video. And because I feel as well, this was for you less focused than other videos that you've made, but you still created something that did really well. It
comes back to that fun thing. I was like, hey, that sounds like a cool idea. And it's always fun when someone reaches out and is like, hey, do this challenge. Hell yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. So in terms of creating it, I was like, I'm not going to go in with this sort of plan. I'm not going to go in with a narrative. I'm going to just play through and have this experience, because my plan wasn't to beat the time. My plan was to encourage others to beat the time, because I thought it would be fun to see the different strategies that came out of it. So I was like, I'm just going to play through it, and as I go, that's why it kind of felt tutorial because I was talking to myself, being like, okay, I'm now going to do this. I'm going to use this part because that sounds good. So I'm glad you thought it sounded like a tutorial. Man, I did. I hit it quite well. The process was literally, don't look at it, don't research too much, flick on the recording, go. Let's just see what happens. So it was a bit more chaotic, I think, in some cases.
Sounds like my playbook.
There you go.
I planned so much for this video. I had a strategy that I was going to do.
I know. I used my intro because it looked like a good intro.
Look, that's another thing about content creation. You take your inspiration where you get it. But no, I went in, and then since I planned and wrote the initial script for the video, the mod had been updated, and loads of the features that I was working towards didn't exist anymore.
No.
And that's why you don't plan.
Well, this is the other thing. Is like I'm now a QA for this mod, because essentially I keep finding things and the modders keep going, oh yeah, that's a really good thought, and I'm like, oh okay. So I make these big guide videos, and like I send them the script, and it's like half the times I put the guide video and like half the things have changed because they really liked my point, and it's like, oh. But yeah, I'd love to see the difference in your analytics, because for me it's like it had a significant rise and it's plateaued now, and you know, did a decent amount of subscribers, and I think I hit it really well. So yeah, let's have a look at yours, and then like to see how you crafted it. And just also, it would be good to talk about like what sort of things just generally in a video you try to look for from the analytics to you know, assess and take from this, like any learnings, etc. That would be really interesting for people to hear, I think.
So this one was a bit more of a free video. So when it comes to like analyzing it, it was less about like the data. It was more like, hey, I've also, it is light mode. I'm sorry. I use light mode.
I do too. Light mode team.
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah,
it was reevaluate this podcast.
Oh no.
For me, this was about just like literally let's just put together something I think would be funny. So as videos do better, the retention will go down. That's kind of natural. So what I wanted to do is hit above the 35% mark. For CK3, this one did 34%. So it wasn't that great. So which told me that like the first part of it was good in terms of the intro and everything else. Because people, what that means, by the way, a lot of people, when they look at the 35%, they think it just means that, someone watched the first 34% of the video, right? And or like on average, they watch the first 34%. That's not what it means at all. It means that people skip around a lot. Because when you're watching a video and you get bored, you don't usually click off first. Usually you skip forwards. So like there's a lot of misreading of these statistics that happens, right? So for me, looking at that 34%, that tells me people are skipping forward a lot because they're interested to see the end result. That's why the video still did well, because it means people didn't just click off. At least that's your interpretation, that's my interpretation of it. But it means that I didn't do enough of a job of having the moments between the moments, if that makes sense. But obviously, like this is what I mean about like a bad video can, not bad, but like a video that gets skipped through a lot can still be really, really good in terms of analytics because it's sold really well. So the whole like thumbnail of overpowered holding. What I'll do is I'll go through about 12 to 15 different thumbnail iterations. Sometimes slight variants, sometimes completely different ones, just to see how things are going on that. But yeah, I mean, a video gets over 100K, can't really complain about that.
I think I went for about 4 or 5 thumbnail variants on my version of this video, and like, again, just to compare stats, and it's the wrong thing to trigger on, but my brain kind of lit up in the fact that with half as many views, I got double the amount of subscribers from it. And I was like, oh, I did something right there, because my brain just went, okay. And my learning from this is clearly my call to action at the beginning had a good effect on the video, which meant I drew from that. So there are things that you can, this is another thing I love about this podcast, where we get to talk to other creators, and they're like, especially with this, with a direct comparison, it's juicy, because I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay. And like that 35% bit, it's just like, that is something I do not think about enough, like to check how many people are skipping through things. Like I just look at the initial hit half the time, and that's probably the wrong place to look.
There's another like aspect to this as well, which is when I read statistics. So that 108 subscribers thing. When I read statistics, I've got to be careful, because it depends in which in which sort of like how to say this, in which niche I am. Because one issue I'm having, or not issue, but one fact of my channel is that I have essentially hit the market cap, or close to the market cap, when it comes to CK3 and EU4. So when it comes to my growth, in terms of subscribers, it is a very rare day when I get a good amount of subscribers off the Factorio video I did, for example, 40,000 views, and I got 400 subscribers. Because it's a different niche.
That's a great ratio.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it's
the Factorio like, crack addiction.
It's also something that's completely like, it's something completely different. I'll get like the Kenshi one. Obviously, it's done well, but it's like 300,000 views. It's got like 2,000 like subscribers, for example, off that video. And it's one of those things where like my call to arms will be inherently less effective the longer I stay in a niche. And that's something that you got to think about. So you can get some rapid growth. You get a good call to arms, you'll get, I mean, there were some videos that I had where I'd get like this is within the niche. I get like 1,000 subscribers off like an 80K view video. And it would be awesome because I was pushing for a goal. I was like, hey, we want to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the month. We're trying to race this person to do it. Like those call to actions are really, really good. Or like the push to 100K was great. I was getting like 12 to 15,000 subscribers over like per month for like 2-3 months because the push was there, and I had the whole I'm going to Ulm, and each one had like a different promise for Ulm. These sorts of things. The call to ones were really good, but then that dies off because there just aren't as many. Like, there's just not that many people anymore. Not anymore, but like there just aren't that many people. Like they're going to subscribe me, so I'll get like a good amount. But that's why like when you pick a niche for YouTube, you can grow really rapidly because if you can appeal to people, give the good people reasons to subscribe, they'll do it 100%. They will. Like if you look at the difference between people saying subscribe and don't subscribe, it's massive. But then you'll hit a certain point and people think, damn, my call to arms, they're not as good anymore. Like people aren't listening to me anymore. It's like, no, there just aren't as many people sometimes that are interested in that kind of content.
That's actually something I have to explain to clients. Like, I don't think they'll care me talking about this, but I had a thing a while back with Paradox and the Hearts of Iron Instagram. And they're like, this channel hasn't grown in like the last 6 months at more than 0.6% a month. Sometimes it was lower, 0.1%. It's up to about 3% now because we've changed a little bit of tactic and there is some wiggle room there. But it's like, I had to like really sit them down and go, you have 30,000 people already following that account. The crossover between people that play Hoi 4 and use Instagram is already very limited. Like it is not the hugest demographic. So there will always be a cap on a demographic. So to hear what you're doing and like trying to like, again, breaking out the niche, I think is a very good move. It's something I would love to do. But at the same time, I know with my channel that I haven't drawn everything I can from my niche yet. So for me, it's probably better to still hit my niches for a little while and then scale it up. I love that it's like you already have that sort of expectation there. Yeah, let's do some rapid fire questions to close us out here because we're getting towards the end. And as much as I really want to just keep talking to you about this stuff because I really like your insight on things. Okay, quicker fire question: who or what is your dream collaboration? Whether it be a person,
Velfisk.
Really
Easy. Every day of the week. Yeah. Dude's awesome. It's the perfect blend of chaos and suffering that I think that I try and emulate not trying to emulate his style, but like the core themes I think really resonate with me in terms of the content creation side of things. And he's definitely someone that I've sort of always looked up to in terms of like the style he goes for and his like demeanor on it. So yeah, he more tortures other people. I usually get tortured on my channel. But yeah, it's
and so, other channels. I torture a lot on in when I'm there for Paradox. Don't I?
See, there you go. I just people enjoy it. People love torturing me. What can I say? So yeah, Velfisk, 100%.
What would be like a 1-sentence piece of advice you'd give to a new content creator today?
Don't do it for money. Do it for fun. Money comes later.
I think that's a kind of a running theme with this. I mean, I'm still not doing it for. I'm doing it for fun and money, but it's in a very different way to these people will do it for money. And I think but without the fun, I think that wouldn't track. Okay, can you share any behind the scenes anecdotes about just about your career that people might not be aware of?
Well, it's something we talked about briefly before we got on, but the fact that the UK government thinks I'm dead.
Oh yeah. Let's close out with this.
And on that bombshell, no, it's not a Top Gear
So
episode.
yeah, you're currently having a thing where the government asked you for adoption papers. If I remember
the government
correctly.
asked me for adoption papers and naturalization papers. They also asked if I was because I think they're trying to figure out how I'm here. So they also asked if I had merchant navy papers or served in the armed forces. Because I like this is the thing. I have a British passport, to be clear. I was born in this country. But the thing was they sent through this document because, like I said, having a lot of issues. And I finally, after 2 years, this is 2 years of like 2-3 phone calls a month, convinced them to send me this document, this form for me to fill out, to attach documents to send back to prove who I am. And the thing they sent out, there is no option for me to send in a UK passport or birth certificate or anything like that. It's all just like naturalization. So I've been trying to sort that, but they don't think that I'm a citizen. I have my birth certificate, by the way. It's next to me, literally on the shelf over there, because I have it laminated just in case they knock on my door and are like, where I'm like, you can't take me. That's like the main thing. But yeah, I'm like 100% sure. I also look like my sisters. So I'm pretty sure I'm not adopted unless they got a package deal on us. I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty fun. Yeah.
Points. Yeah, and like, so you've also been having, but at the same time, the government's still taxing you. It's not like
Oh
you can
yeah,
use this to get away from it.
But they're fining me as well for the fact that I'm not a citizen, which doesn't make any sense. And you might think, well, Laith, you're half Tunisian. You're fine on that front. Every adult over the age of 18 in Tunisia has to have an identity number. My identity number is 00000. It's a placeholder number. It doesn't exist. So 2 different nation states.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you're an alien to both UK and Tunisia.
But I have passports in both. Like I'm a registered citizen in both, but both nations are like, we're not sure about you. So I am like on the verge of being stateless if both governments just go, this document's no longer, like I have my passports. Like if I go to renew them and they go, you're not allowed this passport. On my Tunisian passport, it says 000, like the identity number is 0000. So like if both the governments go, we don't recognize you, and then I'm stateless.
I'm just convinced you're a spy now. Like I feel like this thing is just
For who? No one claims me.
No, yeah. Who wants me?
Have you ever been rejected that bad that 2 whole nations don't want you? 2 whole nations. On top of that, I tried to apply, like I went to America on like the ESTA visa, like the ESTA waiver, right? I did that. I come back. I've traveled on it twice, no problems. I wrote a piece because there's a certain city in America that I firmly believe is faking their climate data, right? And I wrote this paper for it. I was not allowed to publish it at all, firstly. So if you're on the West Coast, you know who you are. Because they're taking, like, not to get really into this, but they're taking federal funds and faking their climate data. But I'm not allowed to, like, I got fully blocked from all of this.
Can you say which city and we'll bleep it?
Yeah. What, you just not bleep it now?
We definitely will.
Because that's a big allegation I'm making.
We definitely will bleep that.
So I went to get a visa because I wanted to go and see my sister who was working in New York at the time. They just fully, like, I've been placed like on administrative processing for 2 years now. I'm not allowed in. And I have to declare that I've been rejected for an American visa every time I apply for a visa somewhere, which is a bit of a problem when on the verge of being stateless and you're being denied from the US and I'm a young Arab male. This is not looking good for me, chaps. It's getting worse.
Oh, no. Oh, that's
It's the point where Syria and Iraq might turn around like, there's something dodgy here. I don't know.
Well, as someone who has only just recently been reformed as a terrorist to YouTube, I want to maybe our association is quite bad here. Maybe YouTube.
I'm suddenly rethinking my choices here.
You're sitting right in the middle of us.
Yeah. Although, weirdly, kind of not completely similar, but I'm actually adopted, which I don't think I've ever actually said on YouTube before. So hi YouTube, or like online. I'm adopted. And so I'm 100% not British at all. But so when I was adopted, the British government were like, well, we're going to put the place that you were born, which is obviously not in Britain. And the place that I was adopted from, we're like, well, he's being adopted, so we're going to write that you were born in London. So I have 2 different birth certificates, one issued from Britain and one issued from where I actually was born. And like, so
dude, we're all screwed. Bureaucracy doesn't work. We need to regress.
It's great. Although thankfully I've never had any problems just because I've always put the actual place where I was born. And I guess someone's gone, I can't be bothered with this.
It was the inverse. I told someone where I was born and they went, we don't believe you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Whereas in this case, both countries are like, well, we don't want him. You're having him, right? And they're like, well, we do need to say where he came from.
I'll add my own passport story to this.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm kind of trying to get my dad to formally get his Irish passport.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically
valuable. I'll buy it.
He
How
can
much?
technically take his get Irish citizenship because he is of Irish descent. But the reasoning we're in the UK is a wild one if you know Irish history. So my family, my Irish family, we're not even sure if their last name is correct according to the records we have. I think we definitely know it now because he was my great-grandfather Paddy was witness protectioned over here in the year 1916. if you know your Irish history and you know that he was a member of he was basically he was working for the British government and his brother and father were IRA members. So there are certain parts of Ireland I probably shouldn't go to ever. But yeah, so we might try it, but we also think most of our records were burnt, so we might have issues getting that passport ourselves. So yeah,
Christ.
what is passports?
I'd ask for new reverse protection. Go like, I just want new Irish identities, please.
Yeah,
but for travel benefits, please.
No, but because I would 100% love a European passport, and I'd love the ability to open a company in Ireland for those lucrative tax reasons. Just like Google.
Can you adopt me? Would that let me get?
Second time's the charm, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, surely someone will want me that time and claim it.
Hey, can I marry you so then I can get Irish citizenship? I'm a citizen of somewhere.
I'm a single bear. I could adopt or marry both of you. That's so that we just dropped so many bombshells at the hour mark of this video.
Stop using the B word, man. I'm struggling here.
Oh god, yeah. We're gonna have some bleeping to go through.
Oh, I'm getting cool.
Well, this has been interesting. If any of that last section makes it into the podcast, I'll be surprised. There'll be a heavy amount.
That was a short episode today, guys.
Yeah, wow.
6 minutes.
Even though Laith was one of the most interesting people I've ever spoken to in depth, that was one of the shortest podcast episodes.
Can I also just say that is that jumper as comfy as it looks?
It's actually quite good. Yeah,
I'm so sad I don't have
really
the
comfy.
EU4 one, but I have both the Hoya ones.
It's only given out to winners.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you have the Hoya one, by the way?
I don't feel comfortable answering this question. You said I could deny any
No, I was going to say,
question.
because if you don't have the old
Joe, then no, I don't have one. Please send me one.
I was going to say, I've got one in my cupboard that's still in the wrapping that I haven't used. I've got a spare.
I will see you soon.
Yeah, no worries. I'll bring it over. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Remember, if you want to reach out to the podcast, hit us up at hello at
He'll get there eventually.
hello at uploadpodcast.co.uk. Laith, where can people find you?
Type in Laith in YouTube.
Don't tell them, they're still searching for you.
Shit, I actually know one of my key questions I was going to ask today that we didn't even get on.
Do it because just say it anyway because
This can go in the edited bit that we can't talk about.
That's the point. Like half is going to cut anyway.
Are you planning on a rebrand now?
Yes.
That you're, yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a release date for that? Are you?
I have had everything ready for 2 weeks. I'm just nostalgic and don't want to let go. I'm rebranding to just Laith. I can send you my rebrand materials.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, maybe by the time this is out, that is a topic
that
didn't even need to be covered. That's so cool.
So Laith. That's the rebrand.
Yeah, check out Laith. Again, absolutely inspirational streamer, content creator, everything person. We didn't even get into some of his other entrepreneurial stuff that we spoke about in Poland. That would have been a really cool.
We'll have to reel him back in.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
If we can find him.
That's true. If he hasn't been.
Dude, if I can find myself.
Oh God. But anyway,
it's a journey for our hearts and our minds.
No, I want to be a citizen.
No, I just don't want to get fined for taxes anymore, guys.
We'll see you next time we upload.
To be honest, if it came shortly after and I just started 2 new series, because then I'd lose all the momentum. But equally, if that's what happens, I'm just going to have to accept that and rebuild afterwards. It's going to be a future me problem. I'm not going to be willing to want to work during those first 2 weeks. I need that time to support my family. I wouldn't be able to get into the headspace to work in that time anyway. And I think it is so important to take that time, like 100%. That's why Twitch desperately needed, because I don't know if they're past it now, being able to actually do anything to it. They needed to have a dedicated, decent VOD space to support channels when you're offline.